Zlurpcast!
What is a game club? Are you part of a game club? Do you have friends? Do you think you have friends, but they're just people you roll dice with? We're going to talk about gaming clubs in this episode of Zlurpcast TV. I've got Biran, I've got Xtreme, I've got Valdric, kitty corner, as some people say, depending on where you're from. By the way, if you make it through the whole episode, that's awesome. We appreciate people making it through the whole way. At any point, you can stop the tape, discuss with your class, whatever you want to do. I mean, this is an interaction. Don't think of it as a one-way street kind of thing. Stop it, put a comment on, call somebody a Nazi in the comments, and then move along. That's what we do on YouTube, trying to adjust. I want to talk to these fellas first before we dive into what makes for a good game club, a bad game club, why it's important to have one, why it might not be important. I want to talk to these guys about their past gaming club experiences. And so whoever wants to go first, tell me kind of about, just pick a few of them or groups of friends or people you played with and kind of tell me sort of like the good and the bad of that a little bit. Feel free to name drop. You know, I mean, if you gamed with Robin Williams in 1987 and you guys both played Eldar and it's like, this is cool. It can only be Mike because he's the only one old enough to play Warhammer in 87. But yeah, so go ahead, guys. Tell me a little bit about some game clubs you've had in the past.
I'll go. My first game club, like a lot, was in high school playing Dungeons and Dragons. And in contrast to my current game club, it was just no choice involved whatsoever. If you want to play in D&D, you were with these weirdos. There was one person who thought he was the ringleader, but just because he was the dungeon master, and nobody liked him, and everyone else got along fine. And so that was not a good game club experience. And the only other game club I've had since that started as Beef Goat game club.
Yeah.
That was when Mike and you and a few others, we would play at the Gaming Goat, which was a Magic the Gathering store. But before we go there we were what, Monday night usually?
I think it was Mondays.
No, it was Wednesdays.
Wednesday because the pizza sale at Beef.
Yeah.
We go to Bona Beef before we went to Gaming Goat, so hence we became Beef Goat.
That's the beef part of it. I just
Yeah.
right? That's,
Yeah.
I mean, could it also be the members of the club were beefy in nature as well?
Yeah. We had one member that was more Reuben than Beef.
That's true. That is very true. So going back to your old high school gaming club, that's interesting because that does happen quite often. The person that is, especially in D&D and any kind of role-playing game, the DM is sort of the default leader because they're doing the bulk of the work. Was it at their house too?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's all that. And it's kind of just goes with the territory. You guys, like you said, had to fall in line.
Yeah, and he also had the compliant parents that let him get away with anything, including us being at his house making noise till 5 a.m. playing D&D.
Yeah. So it just was a good setup, really.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it kind of sucked, but it was still fun sometimes.
So in between Beef Goat, which probably started like 2014-ish, and 2014, 2015, somewhere in that area, and your high school club, which is probably like what, early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s.
All right, in those 20 years in between, like, how did you play games? Just curious.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't you play at
Yeah, I played at Crooked Hat Games.
Crooked Hat,
yeah. So, Todd, friend of the show, current owner, proprietor of Groggedorfer Games, had a store in the early 2000s called Crooked Hat Games. It was in walking distance of my condo at the time. So that was my, I should say that was my second gaming group. But between high school and that, it's like 20-something years. I didn't play any games at all.
Oh, okay.
So Crooked Hat, I started playing Battlefleet Gothic with a crew over there, and this was the.
Oh, you're the guy that played that. I heard there was a guy in Illinois who played that. That was you?
We did probably 3 or 4 separate campaigns. The guy that ran it was one of the creative designs behind VeggieTales, fun fact, name drop.
Oh, wow.
David Pitts. very gifted artist. He our final battle was over a handcrafted, full 12-foot long Eldar craft world.
Oh,
fully
nice.
modeled and painted.
That's fantastic. I wish I would have known you. I had stuff for Battlefield Gothic I never played. I built like Chaos ships, and I don't know.
Fun fact, I also just gave a brand new sealed box of BFG ships to Todd as trade-in. Towards, I don't know, future snack stealing.
For a future, a draft pick to be named later, possibly.
Yes. Future considerations is what I told him.
All right. So, Valdric, I know you've been playing since you were a wee toddler, all kinds of games. You don't have to go through everything, but sort of, if you want to talk about some of your early gaming clubs, and then as you progressed.
Well, like Biran, I started playing in high school with some friends. And then college and grad school, I didn't really game much. But one of the guys at the comic book store where I would buy comics in grad school down in Gainesville was like, hey, we're going to start some role playing. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I did that for a couple of years. And that was really cool because we would all meet at one of the houses, and then I was working at a pizza place and I'd bring pizza. And then the wives would all get together. All of our wives would get together, and then they would go out and, have girls' night. And so that worked really well. That was nice.
Are those some of those same guys you like when you say you go to Gen Con to see your old?
Yeah. It was those guys. Yeah. And then I used to game at this store called Gameopolis that was in Lansing. It's no longer there, but
heard of it.
Lansing, Michigan?
No, Lansing, Illinois. Just before Hammond, just off of 80. And I met some of the guys that that do registration at Adepticon. Most of those guys where I met those guys there. Okay. And then Beef Goat. And then, Blood Bowl kind of came.
Sure. We'll talk about one game clubs too, because that's a thing too, which we'll get into a little bit. Xtreme, I know you're a loner, you're a rebel. That's what you said to Dottie and Pee Wee's Big Adventure. But have you
yes.
Have you been a part of any notable, remarkable game clubs?
No.
You're part of Friendly Ass Grognards.
No,
I think, whatever, distant member of some groups.
You're your girlfriend in the Niagara Falls area.
Yes. Blood Bowl leagues, so like you were mentioning, single game groups, definitely. And there's gaming groups at stores where I played with a lot of the guys, but I wouldn't really say I'm like in the group because I don't know. I'm
do you think those groups have a Facebook group where they ask about that weird quiet guy that plays with them sometimes?
It's possible, and I am A-okay with that because I don't know. I don't particularly enjoy playing with half of them.
Somebody somewhere right now is talking shit about each one of you on the internet.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just know that. So it's not, I hate, you're not special, Xtreme. You think you are, but all of us are getting shit talked right now, not just you. So
all right.
You're welcome, I guess. I don't know. But I do want to talk about the single game thing, how that relates to it, because that's also kind of my start too. I mean, if you can call it a gaming club, playing Axis and Allies with my friends in junior high every Saturday was a thing. We just did that. And then as time went on, Dean, my brother, showed me Blood Bowl. And then eventually 40K. And I was kind of like, I was all in on Blood Bowl right off the bat. Because, I mean, who wouldn't be? Right off when you're seeing like those old star player books, companion books, and it just draws you in. And then, like Xtreme has said in previous episodes, I'm not a gamer, I'm a Blood Bowl guy. That was kind of like my approach because I wasn't ready to, dip the toes all the way in. It was kind of like, well, I like this game, this is fun, and I played some of these board games. I don't know, and then I see Warhammer, and I was like, oh, that's a different. I'm not. But then, I think mid-'90s, I was like, yeah, I think I'm all in on this. And, I think Chaos was my first army, started getting into. And then from there, I would say that most of my gaming clubs focused around either one of those two games. So Blood Bowl leagues. So let's talk about that for a second. When everybody's watching, as most people know, the game of Blood Bowl. It's fantasy football on a tabletop. It's now a video game people play, and it's been around forever. There are leagues that you get into because that game really shines when your players build up. That's kind of the intended format. So what goes along with the league? Well, people to play with. It's not, hey, let's meet up for a game. It's let's form a league. And then you see the same people every single week, either at a game store or in someone's basement or whatever. And before you know it, you are in a game club. You have a game club. You have, whether you wanted friends or not, they're there. Sometimes it's kind of funny because some people in those kind of game clubs, I think it's like a Seinfeld thing. They like jump levels in friendship. Like, hey, we got a couple games in. We're doing a family barbecue this week. You want to come by? It's like, whoa, I'm the
no means no.
Coach.
Back off, buddy.
Like I'm the orc coach in your league, and we have a blast. Don't get me wrong. However, I can't meet your aunt right now. I just can't. Like, I can't do it.
I'm not helping you move.
Right. Not driving to the airport, you know. But then sometimes it actually is people I think that these people are really cool. And I know we've talked in the past about the whole when you play at a store versus in someone's house. One is exclusive, one is inclusive, if you really think about it. But sometimes, how do you get new players? You usually have to play at a store. Otherwise, there's a guy I work with. I might be able to convince him. He's a normie, but I think I get him to roll some dice. And then I can kind of ease him in because he's not ready to jump all the way in. But a single game club, like for me, Blood Bowl leagues year after year, and then 40K, Mike remembers, we had a group called the War Realm that we had in, I think, we started in the late 90s. It was me, this guy Jason, Paul, a few of us, and we just mainly played 40K every week. And it was not tournaments. It was still fun, narrative, but it was just, we liked to play games with each other. We found that these were cool people to play with. We realized early on, this was probably third edition 40K, that there's a lot of shit bags that play this game. So let's just close it off now. Let's just, for the good of our own sanity, this is us. And we played in people's houses, you know, like when, like the first house I bought, I had a game room in there, and we would play a lot of, like, you know, one-on-one battles, two-on-two, and it was just we didn't care about expanding the club. It was, you know, we have Blood Bowl leagues, and it was kind of funny too, because at that same time, I'm thinking like mid-2000s, we kept 40K exclusive, but we let Blood Bowl be the one for everybody. Blood Bowl was the one where, well, I guess other people can play because, you know, Mike remembers when he kind of got in, we had some leagues like that Dean and Phil ran. They had two leagues kind of together that were like 15, 20 people at times. And like, I never wanted that for 40K. Now, those were really the two games I played for many, many years because it was, this is this group of friends. This is how I have fun with these friends. And those were like my friends. We'd go to movies, do other stuff, we'd hang out. Blood Bowl is kind of like, there's some friends in there, but we knew we were there to play a league of Blood Bowl. And as time goes on, you start to have to make those kind of decisions. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for just cool people to play one game? And for a lot of people, yeah, I mean, if you go to a game store and there's like a bulletin board or online, obviously, Facebook groups, all that, you're like, hey, wait, everyone plays 40K, right? So you start to look at the obscure ones. Like, you play Epic? That's kind of cool. Like, you play Dropzone Commander? That's kind of, you start to find these connections with people that are playing the game that you thought I couldn't find anyone. So sometimes people create a game club out of necessity because it's like, fuck, there's probably 5 people in this region that play this game. I better just play with them or put the game away. Whereas popular games, you can kind of be a little more choosy. Has that been kind of what you guys found obviously you could talk about Games Workshop games, it's the easiest one to talk about, but is that where you find kind of the popular and obscure games you have to settle for people to play with?
I'd find for obscure games, I'd rather play with my friends and be an ambassador to a game and get them into it to play than settle, you know, for garbage people. If it's only garbage people willing to play, I just won't play. That's how much I hate playing with garbage people.
But it sucks that you have to, like, it could be your favorite game and you want to play so bad, but if the player base is shit and you have no other way out, I mean, besides convincing somebody, it sucks. You put it away and hope for, a year or two later, maybe somebody comes along that's cool, right?
Yeah, I would not. If the person I'm playing with I don't genuinely like, I don't want to play.
Yeah. Fair enough. Mike, you're more open though.
Mike likes a lot more people than I do.
Yeah. There was one time, speaking of obscure games, back when Vor was in its heyday, there weren't a lot of people playing Vor, so I found, you'd go on
Insert
these.
Mike loves Vor here.
It was called The Warp. It was a forum, and I met some guy on there, and we're like, okay, we like, I was going to go to his house. We're going to play Vor. And I get there, and I ring the doorbell, and his wife comes out. She's mid-30s like I was at the time. And I forgot the guy's name, so let's call him Jim. And I'm like, hey, is Jim here? And she's giving me this weird look. And I was like, yeah, we're here to play miniatures. And she's giving me this look, and that's when I realized that Jim was not her husband. It was her child. And I had been
Awesome.
13-year-olds, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she laughs a little bit, and she's like, yeah, he's precocious. And I'm just like, I'm leaving. And she's like, no, I'm like, nope, not coming in. Nope.
Were you driving a windowless van?
Yeah.
Wow, that's not well, that was there was one global league I was in.
What?
So I was going to say, there was one similar kind of story. I was in one Blood Bowl league, and Mike knows this guy, Scott, that was in the league, and he somehow befriended a kid who was like, I don't know, like 14, and he had to go pick him up, and it was a whole thing every time, and it was just awkward because it was like the oldest guy in the league, and then like a little kid in the league, and then they were always in the same car, and it was just, I was just like, is it weird for one side or the other? Like more than, you think it'd be weird for the older guy, but I think it's weird. I think it's mostly weird for the kid's parent, the one you ran into, Mike, because then it's like, okay.
That was.
What was that league called? The grooming gang?
And then you're like, okay, so all jokes aside, is he home? Because like we have a game scheduled.
He promised me a massage as well.
I brought all this stuff.
25 miles to get here. I want my game.
It's like, mind if we look in your car? Oh, you got condoms and a gun in your car. Okay.
And lost puppy posters. What's that?
You brought a 6-pack of beer for the kids too.
No, wine coolers.
Right. Some Zima at the time, I believe. What you brought over. So that's a sort of a funny thing of not knowing who you're. It's almost before catfishing was a thing. Gamers encountered that shit all the time. Like that always happened. I remember in the early War Realm days, we had a forum, and there was a kid on there that we assumed everybody was in the same age group. And then I said something about, I'll meet you at the store. Maybe it was the bunker. He's like, well, I don't have a car. And I said, how do you live in the suburbs without a car? He's like, well, I don't have a license. I said, why didn't you get a license? He's like, well, I'm 14. I'm like, oh, like, do we stop here? Or do we still get like, because now if I pick you up, now I'm like an accomplice. It's a whole thing. And it's, so that's a funny thing with you never know what you're going to get. And actually, it's a good tie-in to, when you have a gaming group, you got to usually have some way to discuss things, whether that be, Facebook, everybody seems to use for the past 10 years, or in the old days, the forums. I liked forums because it was just a place you can go for just that. Like, you didn't have to do the whole bullshit of everything else. But there is, as Facebook groups get more popular, there's something to be said for going to playing a game, taking a picture on your phone, shooting it off, and it's done. Like, you could never do that on a forum. It was always, well, I don't know my login to my Flickr account right now.
Flash, HTML.
I need to email myself. Maybe I got to plug my phone in and like sync it and get the pictures. And then they're like this way. So forums were great at the time, but and it's cool because you had, I joked in a previous episode, you have for the War Realm, we had a generic area for everybody. Then we had like a members area. and then we had like the inner circle. And then the people that were in the members area didn't see one below it. It was great. They had no idea that in the inner circle, we were talking about who to boot from the members group. But in the members group, they were talking about who to watch out for in the general group. They thought they were like the shit, because, there'd be we had an NC-17 section, of course, and there'd be a girls in bikinis with guns. And they thought that was as risky as we'd go. And we're like, you don't even know what's in the one below this. Like, you think that's like, oh no, like someone's going to catch me? But that's kind of the fun you have with gaming groups. And I mean, it's all harmless when it's all said and done. The idea is you're just trying to find cool people to play games with. That's really where it all comes from. And I think when you're trying to form a group on your own, it's really difficult. I mean, would you guys say that most people nowadays seem to just rely on stores to kind of help them cultivate people to play with?
I'd say so, because it's kind of a safe place to go. Like, I still wouldn't want to go to some rando's house to play a game. It's just, and what if their house smells weird? I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if their significant other smells of soup,
Yeah.
it's like,
I went to play Blood Bowl at this guy's house, and he's got the board set up on the floor.
Nope.
And
I'm leaving.
I'm like, fuck no. And he's one of those skinny guys, like the Scarecrow, that just kind of collapses.
Yeah, he was able to like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, your leg is asleep by the fourth turn.
Yeah. I can't get up, I need, because he doesn't have any furniture around, so I can't even prop up. So it was bad.
So on that note, was that a Blood Bowl league, Mike?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're in a Blood Bowl league, you play at someone's house, what are some things that can make it uncomfortable? I hate to say it, but like kids around, it's not, I mean, I know it sounds shitty to the parents out there, but if we were at a game store, that shit wouldn't fly. So why is this a 4-hour game? Because we're at your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you?
What if I have to take a shit? I don't want to do that at your house.
Well,
I have no problem doing that.
I know that.
But the person whose house it is would want to take a shit at their own house.
Yeah.
So I mean, one person is comfortable.
And at my own house, I like to shit with the door open, and I feel like I can't do that if people are open.
You could.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Mike wouldn't care. Yeah, I mean, whether it's
And you
pissing or
keep
shitting.
ring from the bathroom.
What's
What?
that?
You just call out to the table. Hey, what'd you do?
So I
Don't
remember.
roll me
Mike,
dice until I can see it.
Mike, did you know a guy named Greg we used to play 40K with, or no? He's friends with Steve and those guys. Tall guy. Anyway, we had a 40 tournament at his house. Someone shit on the floor in front of his toilet. And I felt terrible because, and it wasn't me, but it's because it was like, this guy has an awesome house. He's like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but and he was trying to be very PC. He's not usually like a vulgar kind of guy. He's like, someone left a bit of a mess in the bathroom. Could they just, and we're like, what happened? It's like someone shit on the floor in front of the toilet. And we're like, oh my God. And there's probably like 16 people at his house this time. He had like we used to do like tournaments, but just with people you knew. It was like friends and then friends of friends. And then that was it. It was usually at someone's house, like this guy, Greg, or Dean's house, where it was a safe environment, as Biran said. I wasn't going to get, like, sometimes though it did get infiltrated with somebody you didn't want to play with. They're like, oh, who's that guy? Like, oh, I brought him. Like, he's cool. Like, oh, we never knew he was cool.
He's not
we thought he
vetted.
was a prick.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah,
He's
well,
not vetted.
he's not vetted, but if one of your friends that pre-vetted him before any of this, they didn't even know they were on the no-fly list, if you will.
Yeah.
And that happened a couple times. And it was just like, it was a little awkward because it's kind of like if you bring someone into a gaming group, what if you only want them and not like their two friends that are with them? Like, how do you do
Their
that?
package
How do
deal.
yeah, right. Like, Todd said, if you want me, you got to take Biran. And then as time went on, we were like, we'll just keep Biran and Todd can go back.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We realized that GoBots were better. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't know. But that does happen a lot. So have you guys found any kind of like those, I don't know, just ways to better vet people you want to play games with? Because I know it sounds very elitist, but it's important. You play games to have fun. If a person is going to stand in the way of you having fun, is it important to vet them and kind of put the gate up?
It is, I think, but our group, the Friendly Ask Grognards, is a very slow grow group. I think the last official member we added was Tony, and we have some probationary members in Hoagie, who got a bonus because he's international to increase our diversity quotient. But Hoagie's allowed in because he doesn't even participate in social media, so we don't have to worry about him getting upset about stuff. But there's
like a fraternity where you've got like pledges and
well, there's permission. Like when we started playing the Star Wars game Legion, we got the Marvel Crisis Protocol. A couple guys started playing with us. I don't think they're ready for the Facebook group though, but they'll play with us. But they only want to play Star Wars and Marvel games, so they're not ever gonna be full-fledged members, I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like, what do you do when you find really cool people to play with, but they're not like they don't want to be in a club? I'm here to play this game.
Right.
That's all they want to play, and you can try as hard as you want to convince them, but sometimes you got to say, well, because your group, Biran, I mean, you do move games more frequent than a lot of other clubs. Yeah. Do you leave people behind? How does that work?
We do. Hoagie's a good example because Hoagie got into us really with Relic Blade. And then we played 2 full campaigns of Relic Blade. It was great. We're going to go back to it, especially with the new stuff coming out, Shrimp Warriors for Life. That's a game we'll go back to because you could play in a month and a half a full campaign. It's awesome. But he's stuck with Relic Blade as we moved on to like Marvel and Star Wars Legion. And he'll show up and play Tony, who is very careful what games he plays because he's on a strict budget, so he only plays a certain amount of games. So he and Tony kind of branched off and continue to play Relic Blade together. Now, they're still Friendly Ask Grognards. They're just not playing in the main game, but they're playing games that we've played before.
So is being a Friendly Ask Grognard a game in itself? It sounds like it.
It is a 4X strategy game, as they call it, kind of like Master of Orion.
Is it like well, I mean, I would think much like the Michael Douglas movie, The Game. I don't think people know, like, do they know they're playing the game?
The core players do. We have people in the forums who don't even play games with us, but they're still Friendly Ask Grognards because they're allowed in the Facebook group.
And I know you got to watch what you say because, I mean, this is a public show, and you don't want everyone to know whose strings you pull.
Right.
So.
Well, Friendly Ask Grognards is the mutated baby creature of Beef Goat. So it took a lot of the same premises of Beef Goat and applied it moving forward.
Do you still get beef?
No, because the nearest restaurant is Bill's, and Uncle Bill's
is. You still go to Gaming? You go to Gaming Goat? You go to Gaming Goat?
No. So
there's nothing like Beef Goat. You said
it's the same exclusivity of Beef Goat as applied to Friendly Ask Grognards.
Okay. So same principles,
right?
But you just moved it over,
right?
Xtreme, what were you going to say?
Kind of bringing 2 different things that you mentioned. Something that did happen to me in a Blood Bowl league. All the Blood Bowl leagues that I always was, not all of them, but I guess the ones that meant the most to me were very exclusive. Ones that I ran at my house, ones that I brought everybody into the league. I taught them the game or found them and kind of drug them in. But there was one point in time where there was a bit of a rift, and kind of like what you were mentioning, where like one person brings in a few friends. There's like one person that half the people weren't having any fun playing. So that's a deal breaker. Like if you're not having fun playing, like someone's not going to show up anymore. So unfortunately, as the one running it, I had to make a decision, but it really sucked because that was basically like a civil war of the league. And I knew that was the beginning of the end, and there's nothing I could do about it.
We call that the Taco Bill phenomenon when it comes to playing.
I mean, but that happens. I mean, I hate to say it, but it probably happens more often than people wish. My old War Realm Game Club, Mike remembers, we were split. We just got mad about who knows what, and then they created their own forum and blah, blah, blah. And then we had to, like, fight for Mike. Like, is he going to be in the north or the south? And then, like,
no idea that was going on either. So.
And then, well, the good thing about that is when that club split and the Civil War occurred, it wasn't that bad because they each side were playing different games anyway. And so Mike was playing more time with a bunch of guys. And even though we were like, looks kind of cool, we're like, no, like we're this way, guys. It's not what we play. And so it actually helped to get through it, because now it's like, well, it almost like lets you rationalize why you split up. It sounds so weird, like it's what you would do in a relationship, but you're splitting up with friends, with gaming friends, but you're trying to rationalize it. Well, like those guys are playing that anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Like almost to make it acceptable to move on. But that does happen in Xtreme. Kind of said it. It's like that's the fear of things growing. Your group Biran is a slow grow because you need to make extra sure they're going to fit in. And there are times.
I'm off-putting for most people anyway, so even if I wanted to grow, there'd be a limit. Like, you're too vulgar.
Well, you're kind of like if there was a set of trials, you're like the end boss.
Yeah.
Like you are, like we made it through this guy and this guy. Okay, now it's like listen to Biran rants for 3 minutes straight on any topic, and then see if you still want in afterwards.
You still
I think
part of
this is a great thing for that group, because he can, like, all right, so we all don't want this person in, but everyone else is trying to be nice about it, and then he'll step in and be like, no.
Nobody.
That's a great point. Like any good gaming club, I think needs one enforcer. Like you need someone that doesn't care about other people's feelings. And the thing is, like, it's great because I've never had to be that person in all the clubs I've been in. I've always had people to do my dirty work for me. And it's great because then it could be like, listen, I think you're cool, but I mean, he's kind of weird, and in reality, it's like, you're just trying to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. And I think for a lot of tabletop gamers, a lot of the stuff we're talking about is too exhausting to deal with and too much work. Like, isn't it easy to just say, I'm going to show up on Tuesday nights at the game store, because that's the Age of Sigmar night, and get some games on, and just kind of like almost rise above trying to find a friend out of it and say, fuck it, I'm here to play a game. I want friendly people, but I don't need friends. So let's just play dice. And then I'm going to go home, and maybe I'll see you next week. Maybe I won't. We're not going to talk again after this point. I think a lot of people take that approach at this point, right?
Yeah, there's people I'll play games with, but I would not want them to be in my gaming group. You know what I'm saying? There's like people who I see at the store all the time, talk to, get along great with, even play a game every now and then, but are they friendly-ass grognard material? No.
So what if you didn't have the friendly-ass grognards? What if, so not only did I leave your life, but if Tony left and Ryan left, Todd's still there, but he doesn't want to play games because he's a shop owner.
Yep.
I'm here to sell, not to play. It's not fun anymore. What would you do?
I'd probably just masturbate in the bathroom then.
Okay, then after 18 seconds passed, then what would you do?
You just hang out in the store. That's pretty much it.
Try again.
I actually don't like playing games that much anyway. I like to hang out.
So that's a fair point.
I like trunk talk at the end of the night best.
You like the conversation in the parking lot outside of the store best, which is what it always happens. Like, man, if I just rolled better, it's like, yes, it's always the rolls, asshole. Always. That's when you talk about it in the parking lot.
If I was just a better player, I would have done better.
So you don't think you would try to cultivate a new group, honestly?
I think if all the core group left, there's enough people that aren't friendly-ass grognards there that I would turn into friendly-ass grognards.
Okay, so you would look to like the, not the fringe, but sort of like the upper crust of the
normies.
Yeah. And basically like, you know what? I think you got potential, kid. Let me see what you're working with.
Well, because when you look at like, it'll be like, all right, Thursday or is 40K night. I'm like, I guess we're playing 40K on Wednesday then, just to stay divorced from the rest.
We did. I mean, I think it's good to talk about. So when Todd opened Grognard Games, we were excited. It's our, one of our friends opened a store. It's his passion. He gets another crack at it. That's awesome. But now it's, well, since you guys are always here, would you mind being the organizers of these games? And we're like, well, now we're at a crossroads because we want to help Todd do the right thing. But we also like, no, I spent $1,000 on an army to have fun, not to be pissed off. So what did we do in that instance? I mean, we
actually did. We ran stuff at the beginning.
We did.
Yeah.
And
I ran and Todd was cool about it. He'd be like, is this for anyone or is this for friendly ass grognards only?
Right.
Like I did Age of Sigmar slow grow league that did pretty well.
Yeah, Age of Sigmar. We did kill team leagues. We did, or tournaments, I guess. We did. Shamehammer, I guess, was a.
Yeah.
It's into that. That was probably only half or 2/3 friendly ass grognards.
Yeah. A lot of people got into that.
So, do you think that when you were tasked to do that, basically essentially you were asked to open the gates of your club. You were asked to, you have a gaming club. I want you as a friend to help the store open the gates. You were hesitant. Did you find you were trying to create rules for these games to almost like mitigate the problems?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the Shamehammer definitely, because it was about, hey, don't bring your meta net list here because you're going to get shame points. And what are the shame points going to be? Completely arbitrary and capricious on my part is what they're going to be.
Did anyone have, I'm just curious, you don't have to name names either. Did anyone be like, that's fucking bullshit, dude. Like, no, I'm bringing this, I'm doing this.
No, people violated and got shame points and they're like, I got to take it. I don't care. People, people were cool about it. I actually came in first place with the most shame points.
Wow.
Because I was constantly getting pounded by Ryan's Adeptus Mechanicus, and I brought every flyer and piece of bullshit I could to try to win.
Was anybody proud of their shame points and like tried to get a high score?
No, I like I said, I ended up being the highest score just from the last battle.
Well,
because I brought so much bullshit, and I still lost by a lot.
Yeah, I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think they were proud, but it was almost, so like one of the things, if I remember correctly, Biran, you had was, so when you shoot a plasma gun in 40K, you either have standard or overcharge. Overcharge is more powerful, but you might blow yourself up. There are many situations where you don't want to do, or supercharge.
Right, something has one wound, there's no benefit in overcharge.
No reason to do it. So someone goes, give me the points. I don't give a shit. Like I'm not going to do something dumb in the game just to avoid a shame point.
It is important to know that the winner of the campaign, Ryan, had 0 shame points.
Did you allow a reverse mechanism, or did he actually have 0?
He had 0.
Wow, that's awesome.
He overcharged plasma every single time, firing at 1 wound models.
Wow, okay then. It's kind of weird. Like, so I'll tell you, this is kind of a fun segue into this. So playing those games with you at Grognard, where we played Shamehammer, how you should and shouldn't play, use power level, don't use points, these kind of things. Mm-hmm. I moved to a new state, find a couple of cool people to play with, and right off the bat, I realized like none of that's gonna fly, but I was 100% okay with it immediately. Like I was, right off the bat, it was like, no, we're not doing power level because that's dumb, because if you add it up, we're like 2 point difference.
Yeah, got screwed by power.
It was only because like as a collective, it was weird. It was almost like when someone blindly follows, it's just like, no, we're just going to do this because we all think this way. And when I'm taken out of it, I'm like, no, fuck that. We're playing points. And I'm playing a guy like, there are times where I overcharge. Sometimes I don't. It's for the game. Now, I'm not being a dick. I'm just playing the game and I'm having fun.
Well, you're playing with the audience you're with. Your audience is all playing that way. That's different. Our audience was way more casuals.
Yeah.
We had a couple of people that are less casual, but they played along pretty well.
Yeah. I think you're right, but it's I think adapting to different play styles is important, of either being in a game club or being the creator or the main recruiter of a game club. Is you have to adapt. You can't, right? I mean, you don't care about expanding your club, Biran, because you got 10 people probably. Like you're good. You don't give a shit. In fact, the only reason to expand would be if you found someone exceptional that had to be in, or if Todd asked you, hey, come on, like, there's only 11 people that play this game and you have 10 of them. Let the 11th one in, you son of a bitch. And let them in, because you can't have one guy out that plays this game. But I guess if you don't have the people, what if it was, I think about those early days. It was me, my brother Dean, this guy Scott, then we brought one other person in. Then he was gone. We had like a rotating 4 for probably 6 years. And did we want more people? Of course, because at a certain point, you don't want to play the same armies. And we didn't all have like multiple armies either. But at what cost,
One of the fun things, like when just you and I were playing 7th, it was just basically you and I playing that. I was playing Gene Steelers, you were playing Orcs. It was fun. The escalating tensions we'd have is, oh, you just bought that?
Oh, yeah.
I got to buy one. I got to buy a flyer.
Well, and that's what I like, when you talk about, and obviously we'll do a 40K episode at some point. It's inevitable. But, I mean, that is, to quote Biran, that's a game you get into.
Yeah.
That is, you're getting into it. And by the way, just throwing this out there, the last 20 minutes of our Rumble Slam episode, even if you don't care about Rumble Slam, go ahead and fast forward, because that's all about, like, what does it mean to have a main game, a side game, and get into a game? And I didn't realize how long we talked. And it wasn't until Xtreme goes, hey, can we talk about Rumble Slam? I'm like, wait, this guy. It wasn't until he said that. But it's like 20 minutes. But anyways, I'm going to go back to that episode. I think it's episode 8. But, that 40K is a game.
Yes, it was episode 8.
There we go. 40K is a game where if you have a club, that's great because you can kind of like grow things together. You could build new armies together. You can play restrictive rules together. But we talk a lot about not battle games. We've only covered one so far, and that was Legions. I keep saying Legions. I don't know why I say that. Legion, just one, singular. When you play these other games, let's go through the list that we've covered. Riot Quest, Relic Blade, Underworlds, Rumble Slam. I think that's it. Those are all. Let me take Underworlds out of it because that's GW. I'll take it out of it. The other ones, they are very. They're in the obscure category.
Yeah.
Because you're always being compared to either GW or the big board game companies. They're obscure. So what do you do so you love Relic Blade, you love Riot Quest. Couple dudes come into the game store while you're playing. They seem relatively cool. Are you down for playing them next week?
Yes.
Yeah. Because of the game, or because of you fear for not having more opponents, or what?
I think it's just because I like Riot Quest. I like the guy who does it all on his own as kind of like, hey, more people in this game is better. They don't necessarily have to be full friendly as grognards, but more people playing the game better, more for Todd to maybe start stocking it, things like that. And also, Relic Blade is also not a huge time commit. You could play a game with someone very quickly. So even if they're not the most fun to play with, at least it's over fast.
I was throwing another question. You can answer it too, Mike. You play against a guy. He's like your typical min-maxer. He finds like the weird combo that doesn't really make sense. Like, did you know? And I don't know what I'm talking about. You can take a Pigman Commander with a Squid Warrior, and their things stack. I made that all up, but
yeah, I know what you're saying though. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're gonna play that guy, and then you're gonna play him the next week for the good of the game.
It would depend on how cool he was with me mocking his OP bullshit.
Okay. Fair enough. A lot of people won't do that. In a game store.
If I mock his OP bullshit and he gets upset, he's not gonna want to play me again anyway.
I would say though, what I've encountered in game stores for the last 20 years is the opposite, in that you get mocked for not doing OP cheesy things more than what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's almost wait, you're giving me shit for trying to win?
I don't understand. It breaks the brain.
Because you're being an asshole, and I'm telling you right now that. Whereas usually the other way around, like, well, why wouldn't you have 3 monoliths? Well, because I don't want 3. That's my whole army. Yeah.
Because they look stupid.
It's like, yeah, I know. Mike, what were you going to say? Or Mike?
I was going to say, if there's like that person that's coming in that's curious about it and is going to play the next week, I'm the one that's going to play them.
Yeah.
I'm the one that gets.
That is very.
Mike's the fluffer.
So, if the friendly ass grognards is Earth, Mike is the crust, because someone has to be the first barrier, first line of defense before you get to the magma, which is Biran. The core was obviously me. So Mike is the crust.
I'd have to play Mike or Ryan as the 2 nicest members of the friendly.
See, I would never put Ryan. Mike, and I'm not saying it to be mean to Mike, but Mike is. I would usually not put Ryan in that situation. Like when I was organizing events, I'm doing the matchmaking. I clearly have control over it. There was one kill team where I made sure my 3 opponents were all from our group. And I was like, whatever. It just worked out that way. But because I know Mike is the judge of character, proper judge of character, whereas most of us, I must say, the other three of us I'll speak for, we all will probably we all will prejudge somebody, but Mike will give them a little bit of a chance, whereas we might just say, I don't like the cut of his jib. Yep. He's done forever. And it's like, forever? Fuck, are you serious? Like, this guy's done forever? But we do that. We cut people off for life. And it takes someone like Mike to say, you know, I started talking to him. He's got some problems at home. There's some stuff going on. You know, like Mike finds out like what's really going on. And we're like, all right, this guy's a little off. Let him in. But you need that. Like, just like you need an enforcer, I think you need like a buddy to go out there. You need a crust.
Yeah. You need a good word.
It's a compliment of a term, but crust sounds terrible. But you're the outer layer of the gaming group to say, I will fall on this grenade here for you guys. And if I'm still alive, you could have what's left.
So Mike is the one that takes on the new blood. Tony's the one that shows us how we're playing the game wrong.
Yeah. You know, when I said there's essential people in every gaming group, what Tony is not essential. Because you don't need someone to rules lawyer. He is, and I've been sometimes myself.
He's not rules lawyering. He's sometimes we get in a mindset of this. You know, like I remember the Techno Bowl thing. There were a couple of the skills that were like, these skills are garbage. And Tony's like, no, these skills are really good. And he would show us why they're really good. And it's like, oh.
And he'd be like, no, don't pull that player out into your hand. Leave him on the bench, and here's why.
Yeah.
I retract that. You're right. Tony, you may have rules lawyer in your blood, but you're more of a rules enthusiast.
Well, because he's never a dick about it, is the difference.
He's not. No. It's and we've all played with people who were dicks about it. He's not that. So, you know what, Tony? You're essential now. You're an essential employee.
You're an essential worker.
A gaming group can actually get better by somebody who isn't afraid to pick the weird shit and tell you why the weird shit is actually good shit. So I'll throw him in there. Xtreme, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
I felt bad because
not directly game club related, but like when we're all heavy into Blood Bowl tournaments, we had like a cool kids group that somehow I managed to get into. And I liked the fact that I could then let other people vent people in. And like, I didn't have to go out and actually meet new people. Like, someone else can meet them. Like, Mike would tell me they're cool and like, okay, I'll talk to them now.
So
Mike's our ambassador.
I think that's worth talking about because, I mean, Blood Bowl aside, what you're talking about is still a game group and a gaming club. So what happened there, if I'm understanding correctly, is so we have some Blood Bowl coaches in the Chicago area that we're having fun with, and we like these guys, but we like these guys more, kind of thing. You have a few on your end, and we kind of like merge them a little bit. So now Xtreme, you're going to host a tournament in your garage. It's going to be invite only, and I know all the faces there. I know everybody's cool. That was the infamous Xtreme was too drunk to remember anything that happened at that tournament, by the way. You remember now. I bring up shit that happened that day. You have no recollections. I love that, by the way. That's hilarious to me.
What's really awesome is somebody recorded me attempting to do the math at the end of the tournament to figure out who won, and then showed me the video later. I was like, oh my god,
that's hilarious. Yeah. So that was a gaming club, but it was almost the result of two smaller cool kids groups together, and that kind of became, as most of us know, when we played in these Blood Bowl tournaments. You just like the hanging out in the parking lot after playing at a game store is fun. Going out to a restaurant or bar, hanging out afterwards is also the really fun part too. And there were times, and it sucks to say, but there were times where it was, okay, we got some plans, but just like, don't tell me, like, don't. And it was like, everything was down on the down low. And it's weird because now I'm already pissed off because I'm trying to figure out how to win this damn game. And then I have to remember, hey, are we going to afterwards? And I'm like, yeah. Wait. Give me 1 second. Hey, Xtreme, I just told the wrong guy the right thing instead of the right guy the wrong thing. And like, I realized I just fucked up and someone's going to show up. Now, the good thing is we still found a way out of it. So let's show up 20 minutes before, get our own section. Then when they come in, they're down there. So like, hey guys,
Oh, table's full.
Right, table's full. But that was a gaming club of sorts, and we had to once again make tough decisions that hurt people's feelings, I'm sure.
Who brought in what? So what of these two factions, the Chicago and the Indy faction, which side brought in the Michigan faction?
That was Stahl, I think, and he would come to. Yeah, and then
there's a couple Michigan factions though. So if you're talking about,
I'm thinking Good Spencer and Roach.
So there's like 3 Michigan, and I could be wrong because Mike knows more, but
you know who Good Spencer is.
I know. That's why it's funny.
Was it Good, Medium, and Bad Spencer?
Yeah.
Okay. So there were 3 Michigan groups. There was the Spencer and Spencer Law Firm group in Monroe, Michigan. There was the Saul and Greater Detroit area. Then there were the guys in the Moose Knuckle group too. So you had 3 Michigan groups.
And the Kalamazoo group too.
Oh, the Kalamazoo group too. That's right. So you have 4 groups of Blood Bowl people. And
they would hold up their hand and say, "I'm from here."
Right. Well, yeah. So the thumb are cool, but sometimes the pinky are dicks. And
don't talk about the guys up here in the peninsula. Those guys are weird.
The funny thing is, and I would say in each of those groups there were cool guys and not so cool guys. So what do? I mean, every group, if it's based on region, you can't say a whole region is cool or a whole region is shitty. Although somebody probably says Ohio is
garbage. Yeah.
I didn't say it. I want that on record. I didn't say it.
So of the younger brother teams, who's better, the JP and Dean or the Stevens brothers?
Better at Blood Bowl?
No, better people.
I mean, Stevens, obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously.
We're Greek. Don't trust us.
I don't.
I'm 1/8 Moors as well. So
get some turkey, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at least one night I did.
Yeah.
So when talking about a gaming club, obviously we talked about our experiences, what we've seen. Is it more important to just make sure you yourself are having a good time than to worry about, friends or growing it? Isn't it just, because I'm getting to that point where it's just like, I just want to have fun. I don't really care that much. It'd be nice to have more, but even when I was in your group, Biran, it's like, well, if you guys wanted to move forward and I didn't, I had to either assimilate, like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm playing Marvel. I didn't want to do it, whatever. Or like I held back one time and I played Wild West Exodus with Eric's group for a month. And it was a blast. I had a fun time in every single game.
And we didn't give you shit over it. Do what you want.
No, of course. And I wouldn't expect anyone to, but it was just like, it was weird because I'm like, wait, why do I care? Like, no offense to anybody. We're all fucking grown-ass men. I don't really care. I'm just here to have fun. I know I'm friendly to play with, so I'm just going to do it. Do you think that's most important, making sure you're having fun?
I think now, yeah. Maybe when I was younger, not as much, but, definitely now, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, again, I've played other, while you guys are, the Grognards are playing one game, I will play another game somewhere else, and that's kind of what I want to do, so.
Nothing wrong with that.
Tony will step out because he doesn't want to buy into a game or whatever, and he'll play a game with Hoagie or play a game with Mike or whatever. It's cool if we could all meet at the same night, and still get our trunk time.
I think it's different too if you're just like a member of the group or if you're like the leader or ambassador of the group. Like if you have that role, then you're almost required to kind of like branch out and be a more outgoing and bring other people in.
Yeah.
But if you're just there, I think it's more important for you to have fun because then you're creating a fun atmosphere for the rest of the group. If you're having
and we talked about Blood Bowl, and obviously they'll be recurring because that's how, a lot of us met and played, played competitively and went to these different groups. But if you're a commissioner in Blood Bowl, or you're a DM in D&D, or you are trying to think some other types of authority figures, for lack of a better term, in a game, you're the guy. Like you can't really be a dick because you actually have to make sure the collective is doing well. And it's weird because it's in my nature to be that, but I also got mad sometimes. And so and we're probably going to do another episode about running tournaments, I'm guessing, but that is something that's a trait that some people have, some people don't have. like I'll run tournaments, I'll volunteer, then I'll regret it and get mad. Whereas Mike will do it and be like, whatever, like, because you go with the flow. You don't really let a lot of things get to you. And I think that that's important, because why would I let running something sour me on a game? It's bullshit. Like, it actually, it's stupid to buy stuff, build stuff, paint stuff, go to all that, and then because someone squeezed in that I didn't really want in, or I let someone in, or these two people are mad and I matched them up in a given week. Like, why the fuck do I care about all the drama? Well, we used to all do that.
I actually like when Todd kind of roped us to helping him out, and that was fine. I didn't have a problem doing it. I enjoyed running stuff like that rather than participating, because I would rather be, set up the events, things like, if it's not with my core group and it's some people that I wouldn't normally play with, I'd rather run the thing and oversee it than actually have to play people I don't necessarily normally play with.
Did you want to run it because you wanted to, or because if you didn't do it, no one else would?
I kind of wanted to, because I was excited for Age of Sigmar at the time, because they finally released the General's Handbook and things like that. It was still, everyone was so new to it that I didn't feel intimidated by not knowing the rules as much as someone else who's participating and then running it.
It's kind of funny, because I remember playing in that league, and I remember playing a game of Age of Sigmar against somebody who was, I think, a pretty good tournament Warhammer player.
His name was Josh.
In learning, and it was Josh was good, and it was actually one of the other guys, Tim or Tom.
Yeah. Oh, the Skaven.
I learned a lot in that game.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a prick about it at all. No. He said, and he kind of gave me that insight of, well, it just says must move closer. It doesn't say how much closer or what direction closer. Yeah. So you can go bloop. And I'm like,
sometimes you learn from you think I'm going to get pissed about this, and they're like, oh, I learned something.
No, it's weird. It's a weird door that gets open for you, because people, like a lot of us, we consider ourselves, take pride in not pulling shenanigans. But then when I don't know, the curtain's lifted, it's like, oh fuck, everybody's doing this? Well, if everyone's pulling shenanigans, I'm gonna do the fucking wraparound too. I didn't know we were all doing that.
I'm gonna make a conga line of Chaos Warriors all across the board.
It's kind of funny, because for years and years, I mean, even though I played in some 40K tournaments, they were usually closed off. But Blood Bowl, we always played against anybody, whoever, because we went to tournaments. You go to a tournament, all bets are off. You play whoever you have to play. But for some reason, we tried to close it off. But I remember times where, and Mike might remember this, where we would play in a league or a tournament. We'll be at the bunker, and there'll be a couple of guys we see playing there, we don't know. We're like, why don't they want to get in what we're doing? Why don't they want to be part of this?
Yeah.
They're fools. Why would they not want this? And you know what? We're like that about everything else. But for some reason, we thought they were crazy for not wanting to be uber competitive in Blood Bowl. And we're like, what the fuck's wrong with these people? I don't know. Maybe they're the same as us, and they just want to have a good time when they play, and they don't want
those overly competitive assholes over there. I'm not playing with them.
Yeah, I played. See that guy in the flannel? He fucking stalled for 6 turns. What an asshole. And it's we're but that's how you play. Well, that's what the 40K tournament guys say about how they play. Yep. I'm like, look at your flyers. They got a 69 in them. That's weird. It's yeah, that's how you win. And I'm
look at your parallel park storm talon birds.
Yeah. So I think it's just the nature of the game and how you choose to enjoy the game. The thing with, and I don't want to keep going on Blood Bowl, but the reason why I think I allowed anything goes with Blood Bowl is the fluff of the game is a sport. So when you're trying to win in a sport, anything goes, win at all costs. The game is not reenacting a game. We're not reenacting a battle. So in 40K, someone takes their Demon Prince, hides it behind the mountain in the last turn, because why do I want to give you these victory points? And I'm like, because what fucking Chaos Demon Prince would not run up and try to bite my face off? Yep. And so I thought that was dumb to play like that, because we're supposed to be doing a battle. We're supposed to be fighting. He's trying to win a game. Blood Bowl is already a game in the fluff. So I kind of, that was my rationale for why you
could be a dick when you play Blood Bowl.
Be a dick and not, why I can't wait for a legal procedure to come back in tournaments. All that kind of stuff. I want it all back. Bring all the dickish things back, because we've been through it all with Blood Bowl. Anyway. enough on that one. Not on Blood Bowl.
I could say this: the friendly-ass grognards will never do a Blood Bowl stint.
You can't say never.
Well, we'll do Blitz Bowl.
So didn't Sarlo run a Blood Bowl tournament?
No, you ran a Blood Bowl league, remember?
I did.
At Beef Goat. We did a league.
I did a Dread Ball league.
No, we did a Blood Bowl league.
There's no way.
Did you not run that? Mike, who ran the Blood Bowl that we did at?
That was Sarlo.
Oh, it was Sarlo.
It was Sarlo.
Yeah, because he won his own trophy. That's right.
Yeah, and I was in it because I sold you my Lizard Man team, so I was in it. But so I mean, it's hard to say you'll never do that because you don't like the game. Are you the leader, by the way, of Friendly Ass Grognards? We never asked that.
Yes. I don't know.
What's your rank?
Sergeant Major, I guess, would be the closest. I'm
Major.
not an officer, but I'm an enlisted man. I get paid for a living.
I had you down as Major Dickhead. But
we're a constitutional republic. We're all individual states, and we all get our voice.
Every 2 weeks, you form a committee, 2/3 majority. It's pretty simple.
But anyone can take ownership of a game and say, we're doing this. It's not just me. It's not just Mike. Relic Blade was Jameson. He got into it and showed us to it at Adepticon, and we're like, oh, we're all in.
Yeah.
Let me buy everything.
How do you know when it's time to move on with it? Like, because that's when you truly see if you have a club or just a group of people that play a game. Because I know from coming here in Colorado, so I played some Kings of War with some guys, and I asked them about another game. They were like, nope. Played some Necromunda with some guys, asked about another game. They were like, nope. And that's fine. I was like, wasn't really a game club, which is fine. They're people that play a certain game, and I'm not going to fault them for that. How do you know when it's like the test of, all right, I'm going to bring out this game. Let's see who comes along for the ride. How do you know?
We decide at the end of any sort of, when we have a structured campaign like Relic Blade, we finish the campaign. We're like, you know what? That was fun. Let's do it again. But then after that, it's like, all right, people will basically come to us. Everyone will say, hey, what about this game? Hey, what about that game? Hey, we should get back into Kill Team.
Yeah. Usually there's like a release or something like that that's...
Something new comes out, yeah. Or some Kickstarter that's now available for the masses.
Do you have like a running list? Like, do you know what's next or no?
Oh, we have a lot on deck right now because we have Riot Quest, Legion, the Marvel game. What else? And now Relic Blade again.
And who knows about
Mythos.
40K, so yeah.
Yeah, the new 40K. I'm excited about that.
Now that's the game you get into, though.
Yeah, you have to get into that. Yeah. But I've purged. I've gotten rid of almost everything that's not my Space Marine Salamander army.
Oh, you got rid of the Grey Knights you bought?
Oh shit, I totally forgot I even had them.
I remember those look cool because it was like immediately you had like 2,000 points and like, you know.
I spent $200 and I had a 2,000 point painted army.
Yeah, it's a fantastic deal.
Those the Canadian ones?
Yes. I painted, they put Canadian flags on the flyers. They freehand painted them. And I just took Chaos Black and just covered the Canadian flag.
So at this point, I mean, obviously, Biran and Valdric are both part of the Friendly Ass Grognard. You have a gaming club. Do you have any other outside gaming clubs that aren't affiliated? The Venn diagram only crosses over with you in the middle?
I don't, but I think Mike, being the friendly of the friendliest friendly grognards, has he has lots of side pieces out there.
Yeah. He's cheating on you right now.
Yeah.
Mike,
we're in a polyamorous relationship, so it's okay.
Yeah. So I think that's something too to keep in mind is like, do you care if people are like, nah, I play this with these guys, play with these guys, it doesn't really matter. And I think, you know, yeah, exactly. There's just, so I think that's important. So at this point, Xtreme, I know you've dabbled a bit at your various game stores with Blood Bowl leagues and other games. Are you at the point now where kind of just you'd rather be asked than, like, you'd rather be turnabout dance and be asked to join rather than you being the guy?
Is it turnabout or is it Sadie Hawkins dance?
Yeah. I mean, either way, I didn't go, so.
I went once.
I'm definitely not looking to be the guy to run a game. I've attempted recently to do that a few different times, like be the champion of a game and really push it. It hasn't really worked out that well. I don't think that works with my personality too well either, really. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm more doom and gloom. I'm kind of wondering if I even really like playing games or I like the idea of playing games. I'm trying to get over that right now.
Yeah, it's understandable. One thing that I like that Xtreme does is once he realizes he's in a safe space, then he comes into his own, and you love running stuff. You like, those times we hung out at your house with tournaments and this and that. It's like you like being the games master. You like being the master of ceremonies, but it's only after like the personnel work has been done. It's like if you're hiring at a job, it's like, all right, we have the right people. Now we turn it over to Xtreme. Like, you're not the recruiter.
He's an operations guy.
You're not the HR rep, but you are going to turn these boys into men once we've already approved them. That's the idea. So I think because when that happens, you do a great job. But one bad apple, especially like game store related, easily would sway you and probably a lot of us.
No, definitely. And you were talking about I don't know, like getting other people into the game isn't always the easiest thing for me. Like recently when I've attempted, I've gone and like, all right, I'm going to run events, I'm going to do demos, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then like 2 people show up and I push at it, try to push through for a few weeks. And I'm just like, all right, screw it. It didn't work. And I'm done.
Yeah.
Have you tried slutting yourself up a bit?
I haven't.
Well, it's kind of funny because that's something that, I'll bring up Eric again with Wild West Exodus. How many times did he show up and just, to quote Xtreme's favorite wrestler, do the work? And he's just there week in, week out, whether anyone showed or not. And eventually they did. He played the long game on that one and he won. But most of us would have probably given up and said, it ain't worth it. Nobody's showing up. I'm tired of either just setting up for no reason or the one guy that keeps coming back for another demo because he doesn't want to buy anything. At a certain point, most of us would get tired of going through the fucking motions. He didn't. And it's something it's paid out for him. But I mean, that's a big part of the recruitment side of a gaming club, or just not even a gaming club, just a group to play a game. That's where it starts from. I want a group to play a game. Xtreme, how many times did you try to get Super Show ongoing at your game store? Like all the time. You're like, I'm relaunching it. I'm doing a new thing. And then you get a couple and then it just kind of filters off. And it sucks because you just get, the whole thing is disheartening because you don't even like the game anymore. Even though you love the game, but you hate the game because you realize, well, I guess I'm alone, right? Does that happen to you a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes work, and it's supposed to be work. It's supposed to be fun, and you can champion a game, and it, if other people get into it, then it's still fun to be like the leader of the group because you're still getting a chance to play. But if no one's showing up to play, then it's just work.
And also it does. I mean, for a lot of us, it's going to impact how you feel about that game, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just done. I mean, it's just at a certain point, you say it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's your free time, and you've invested in it, and if you're not getting anything back, then it sucks.
One thing I will say about with game clubs, like you mentioned before, what if everyone moved away? Having a local game store like we do with Todd with Grognard's, Todd will play matchmaker. If you're looking to get into game X, he will say, hey, I know a guy, he plays, he shows up on Wednesday, show up, he's cool, let him in, whatever, you'll be fun. It helps having a local game store that's supportive of not just games, but of the community, in quotation marks.
And one thing good with the way Todd does it, he's not heavy-handed about it either. He will, and I don't know if it's probably a combination of his personality, what's best for the store, and being your friend. Mm-hmm. Because he's not going to pair you up with somebody, because then you're never going to let him live that down. You're going to keep bringing it up all the time.
Yeah. Why'd you pair me up with Taco Bell?
Right. But then he's also like, well, I don't want to lose a customer because my one friend that plays this is a prick. I don't want to lose a customer. This guy's going to buy a whole fucking model line. And it's like, no, you are going to go on a first date with this guy, you asshole. I'm paying for it. You're going to the fucking movies.
And you're going to behave and not scare him off.
Right. And not till like the third date. Then you try for a finger. Realize where you stand. You know? Those first two, though, you got to play ball like Todd's in the fucking backseat chaperoning, you know?
Todd knows my limits pretty well, so.
Yeah. But he also knows if he finds the right fit, it's gonna be a win for all three of those things I mentioned. It's gonna be, you know, he knows. So that was kind of nice to. It's weird because I remember times at Grognard where if a game is more obscure, I felt guilty about not being open. Like 40K, who cares? Like
Sells itself.
I'll say no to everybody. It's not going to impact his sales one bit. But if it's a game, some skirmish game that is like Todd went all in on and no other store did, he's got an end cap fucking full of it. He's like, dudes, like, help me, please, because I just bought their whole like starter thing for $1,000. So gaming clubs, I think to wrap things up here, they're important, but they're not essential. The most important thing is probably for you to have fun in the game you're playing. If that means a close-knit group of people where it could be we're having a barbecue. I mean, I had some, like those 40K tournaments I mentioned that were closed off, a lot of them were centered around some other events. Like we did like a cookout, and then we played some games, and we did this, and it was like a 15-hour day when it's up, but it was fun because it was all cool people in someone's house. If that's important to you, then you got to try to, you know, either be open to some other personalities or latch on to something you think is cool. But otherwise, if you just want to like, no, I just want to fucking have fun, play some games. I spent the money, I built the models, I paint the models, I want to have fun. Then try to make that your top priority. Try not to get caught up in the, well, they're too competitive and they're too casual. Because you know what? The great thing is, after 2 hours or so, it's over and you don't have to do it again. You could say, you know, yeah, I've been really busy with work stuff lately. I don't think I can make Tuesdays anymore.
I can only come on Wednesdays. Oh, we can change. No, don't change on my account.
No, yeah. It's like, I don't want you to change it all for me. Like, Wednesday's way better. Like, I need my boss to like.
I'm dead. I can't make it.
I just died. I'm sorry. Like, how are you talking now? It's weird. I don't know. But I think it's just have fun with those games. But that's a big part of it. Is just making sure that you are getting your money's worth and your time's worth, because that's what these are. You know, they're games, they're hobbies when it's all said and done. So, anything else, or is that a good wrap up? You think?
5 Zlurpees. Oh.
Wait, what? Oh, Zlurpees?
I give it 5 Zlurpees.
So why don't you rank your club right now? This won't be an official ranking. Xtreme, you don't have to write this one down. You don't have to write this one down. You're going to give, what's the name of your group again?
The Friendly Ass Grognards.
It's really long. Do you have like maybe we'll put it on the screen. Do you have like a shortened version?
FRGS.
Fergus.
Friendly Fergus.
Fergus, yeah.
The frogs, yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Your group or the Friendly Ass Grognards?
No, I don't have a group. Your group.
Oh.
Because you could use, there's room for improvement. Like if
that's true.
If you were my employees and I give you a 5, like, are you even going to try next year?
Sit on your laurel.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get the basic increase. You're going to get a little more because you get a 4, but not a 5.
You get 3.5%, not just 3%.
Anyway, that's enough of that. That's all a bunch of malarkey. Let's talk about Zlurpcast TV once again. Make sure to Zlurp on that sub button. You could also use a foot. No Band-Aid this time. Foot fetish. Get that hashtag in there. More views. We are creeping up to 200 or so subscribers. I like it. I think the show has made around $120 in merch commission. I didn't take it
from us.
Biran didn't take it. I didn't take it because I don't know how to get the money out yet. There's nowhere to do that. It says have a verified PayPal. I do. There's still nowhere. But anyway, so people are buying merch. There is a face mask with the logo as well. I found a circular version of Zlurp Nation, which is only good for a button. So if you like buttons, now the button is on the website. If you don't see what you're looking for, make sure to click on more products available. I know you see the slim fit, the V-neck, and you think, this ain't me, man. This ain't me. You know what? This ain't me either. But when you click see all products, that is you. So there's more there. There's socks. Mike, did you get the socks?
Yeah.
How are you wearing them now or no?
No. Those for Katie.
Okay. None for yourself?
With mayonnaise and under the bed.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to say don't use the Zlurpee socks as a cum sock, but I mean, if you do, I can't stop you.
Right.
And my only hope is you let it crust up so bad that you've got to buy new ones. And we keep making more of those pennies on the fucking dollar. You know? So for Biran and Kitty Corner Valdric and Xtreme, I'm Jonny P. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Zomboy. Eat flesh.